What it do, tribe? It's your boy Mark. As foretold, I am now starting my own series with Pop Up. Right here with us today is Mr. Ulysses from Major Bloom. As you can tell, we're going to be going in, have this little tour and questions. See you guys in a second. Back actually inside of Major Bloom. I can't lie here, I can't see everything, but it's looking pretty good in here. Appreciate it, man. Ulysses, UJ for short. But I'll let you introduce yourself because I know you. They don't know you.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So my name is Ulysses. I'm a co-founder of Major Bloom, and we're here in Worcester. We're just a community, really being a part of it. I mean, I live 5 minutes away from here. I also teach entrepreneurship and cannabis regulation right down the street at Clark University. So I just happen to be part of the community.
I love it. What made you start Major Bloom? Let's get into that part.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So I was actually a sales manager. I worked for a renewable energy company, and I was in that sector for about 6 years. I was doing really well. I enjoyed, the team I worked with, the money I was making, people that I worked for. But ultimately, I ran into inherent issues that young black males do. That's just to say, colored people in general inside organizations. So I realized that I didn't want to continue on that path, and I'd rather, start something for myself. I come from an entrepreneurship background. I worked for my dad for 10 years up until I graduated school. And then, during that 10 years of working for my dad, I was very involved with cannabis culture, just a kid of just, hanging around people who smoke weed and really just brought people together. So as things became legalized here at 16, I finished graduate school and was like, listen, the sales stuff is cool, but like I said, I want to get back into entrepreneurship, and I've been working on it ever since then.
Oh, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but the next question, what got you fully into cannabis? Like, I know some people who I smoke with some of my friends and they're like, not cannabis, but you're dedicated in the cannabis industry now.
Absolutely.
So what's your first step was?
Yeah, man, it was definitely the involvement in the culture and then seeing that gap, right? Because legal cannabis is not necessarily what we know as we grew up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
totally different. It's totally different.
Right. So it's just the perspective of having the energy to keep on going. Because believe me, man, I talk to the homies this is something we can get a part of, but not everyone, it doesn't resonate with everybody. You know what I'm saying? So once I realized that my passion and my energy for it wasn't really matched with everybody else, I just basically just kept on going and realized that it was very important to have representation, because prior to actually starting the company, I was looking to work in the industry, and I just wasn't getting the right feedback. So I was let me just create what's not out there. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what it was, just creating.
I think that's what most people understand. Most people when they get in the industry, they wanted to start something because they couldn't get help to get in at first. Most people, that's why I kind of want to start this pop-up series, to show people if you do need help, some people out here who are willing to help you. Absolutely. You also gonna have to pretty much start your own thing.
Absolutely.
You would have to put your feet down on the ground and actually start walking.
Absolutely.
Not everybody's gonna carry you. There might be someone along the way who might pick you up while you're falling.
Absolutely.
But you still have to keep walking on your own
100%.
But I do love the space, like I was saying earlier. But there's a runway that most people in cannabis have. This is your whole place?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
This is all yours, right?
Yeah, bro.
So when you came in, you saw this facility. How was the feedback with the owner, the property owner?
Yeah.
How would they are? Because I know most people who try to go into the industry, the property owners, they're usually in there.
Right. No, that's a great question, man. And going back to what I mentioned before, I live 5 minutes away from here. This place was boarded up for 20 years, bro. So the windows that you see, the doors that you see just a year and a half ago, that wasn't there. So basically, once I saw the guy that owns the building started to increase the value of it and do some work on it, I'm listen, this would be a great spot for cannabis. Now, because it was vacant for so long, he wasn't really he's been really understanding, more of a partner, to be honest with you, because he realized that we're going to be here for a long time, and since it was vacant for so long, we might as well just do the right thing, and rather than rush through it, or I've heard people where they're the landlords or the people who own the buildings really try to shice them in terms of jacking up rent and all that stuff. But that wasn't the case here. In fact, it was the opposite. He was one of the first investors that we got.
Oh, wow.
So we basically just negotiated that with him. And the city and the community has been very receptive, because again, it was vacant for 20 years. It was an eyesore, literally an eyesore. So it was, I tell people that all the time. You don't have to be in a bougie area. Like it's probably better to find an area that's not like
high end.
Basically, bro. Honestly, because that's gonna be expensive.
Honestly, I agree because when I came in here, I was like, oh, this just feels like I'm home. But I'm like, I feel it's weird. Like you don't like it's a lower end area, but like most people of color, minorities, they feel more home here than they do in the high end. So when I used to go, like we used to go to a medical place, like it's not in a restaurant area. I feel more comfortable. It feels like they know I have to want something.
I mean, that's gentrification.
Yeah, it's the top thing. It's something about that for me. I do like appreciate this area. I walked down, did a couple people some shots. It looks. That's what's up. I see it. I see the place with just people in general.
I appreciate that, man. And that's man. I mean, like being next to the liquor store, across the street from a couple bars, like, is this what I'm saying?
It's a laundromat right there.
Laundromat, Jamaican food, bro.
What?
They just opened up, bro.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know last time you were out here.
They literally just opened up.
They just opened up. Yeah, it's Bob, bro.
That's actually cool. Lit.
Yo, speaking of home, man. So we met them like two weeks ago or whatever, and like, man, it was crazy because they were just like. You know when people bring you plates of food?
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're home. That's what happened. We met them that same day and they came over with a plate of food. I was like, yo,
you guys like me. You really like me.
No, bro, that's exactly it, man.
Oh no, that's a really good thing because then that means that everybody in this area knows like they're building up to make sure. This pretty much is like a money place. Like when people are gonna come in, they're gonna want cannabis. They're gonna want whatever they want.
And that's the thing, bro. That's the thing is that there's a lot of retail establishments, so like the amount of foot traffic that we get for cannabis certainly is going to help, you know, foot traffic at other restaurants or bars or you know what I mean, whatever it may be.
And once again, I have to applaud you for that. I don't think most people think about that. Most people want to be in the area where there's a whole bunch of houses. Right. But like being in the area where there's a bar, food, and there's a couple apartments. Yeah. Like those are people who will be like, yeah, I'm coming down here, Major Bloom, give me a little bit. Then we'll get something to eat. Then I'm gonna go, you know what? I'm hungry. Let me give me a little drink from the liquor store real quick. Everybody's gonna get a piece of this pie.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Honestly, bro.
That's
I appreciate it.
What would you say your biggest obstacle is in the industry, the cannabis industry?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it's more or less internally. Sometimes, you know, as individuals, we put on limiting beliefs for ourselves. So really, it's just like self-doubt. But then, like overcoming that self-doubt, it's probably working next with other people in the terms of it's tough to say, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Wow, like people try to impose feelings on you. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Projection.
Yeah.
I'm listening. I can't say it right, but yeah, that's what. But project their pretty much their emotions on you. So
basically, man. Yeah, and there's a lot of that in cannabis because it's so new. So, you know, I don't want to say misinformation. It's just that like people try to act like experts about everything, bro. So, you know, it's tough to deal with those personalities. But like I said, it's just overcoming it and just moving on. If you think you know everything, then you're not gonna learn new things. So it's like.
It seems like we're in a totally new place. You want to explain what this is for you, Jeff?
Oh, absolutely, bro. So this is a hood vet, man. We actually just put it in a couple days ago. And the special part about it is that, you know, we basically got licensed as a food establishment. What that means is that we can make edibles. And it's crazy because people ask all the time what's on the menu. To keep it completely real, the main thing that we're going to focus on is blunts, infused blunts. So we basically just decided to do this because of renovation. It would have been best to do it now rather than like years later. But yeah, basically we have a convection oven going here and a standard stove just to cook up, you know, if we decide to go down the route of, you know what I mean, production and edibles and stuff. But
I know some of you guys know what he's talking about. You want to explain what the hood event is?
Oh, absolutely.
There's some people in here who probably know what you're talking about. Some people are like, I have no idea.
That's crazy, bro. And the thing is, when I told you before that I worked for my dad for 10 years, this is exactly what we did, bro. We clean hood vents, bro.
Oh.
So typically you put this in a restaurant and it, you basically bring the steam and the fumes and the oils and all that stuff so it doesn't get into the city water, so the place doesn't catch on fire, things of that nature, man. So it's just crazy because we're not going to use it that often, but we decided to just go with it and, you know, work with the city by the parameters that a regular restaurant would, just in case we do want to like pump out some like crazy food or something like that. You know what I mean?
So people that are foodies out there. So you said this is essential for people who are making these type of establishments.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, in fact, the city told us that we were the first to go through the permitting on the manufacturing side for this. So there's a couple operators that are in the space, but they don't have a full like kitchen. So we're pretty excited. Like me personally, I'm not a cook. but I've talked to a lot of people who are passionate about that. So at least we have a platform for them.
It's pretty much made history.
Yeah,
it's always going to be the stepping stone, right?
Something like it, bro.
Always going to be stepping stone. You were talking earlier about licenses and stuff. What licenses do you think you need to have to be or run a full establishment? I know you have a couple of them.
Absolutely.
What do you think the most essential ones are?
That's a great question, man. So because we're part of the economic empowerment program, we're also working on delivery with the city. Matter of fact, I had a call with them yesterday, and they're like not ready for us because we basically put in a special permit application, and they're basically saying, oh, we might need to delay it because we need to gather more information. Well, mind you, that document's like 123 pages long, and just like answering questions for them, talking about what the state requirements are, things like that. So we do have a garage which we'll put, be able to deliver weed out of essentially, and then we'll be cooking up in here, manufacturer's license, and then obviously we sold retail there before. So me personally, I believe in vertical integration, which means that like one license standing alone is not economically the best decision, especially for us. You know what I'm saying? I've already heard, lingerings of like how people are gonna treat, you know what I mean, certain EEs and SE businesses. So I just think that being able to buy raw materials, straight up flour, and not have to worry about someone else's branding and packaging, and do whatever we want with it, that's going to be essential because we are able to cater to our customers' needs as opposed to just flipping packs. To me, I don't think that's sustainable long term, just to do a retail.
So you were saying earlier, because I think this is like one of the main things that most people definitely go through. You gave all the information you're supposed to need, they want it, but not in the shop here. I think that's what happens with most minorities in this industry. They always have the information that they need.
Absolutely.
But it always seems like it has to be delayed because of that side. They were expecting you to be ready.
Absolutely.
So how would you tell somebody to go along with that? Like how would you tread those waters?
Well, that's a good question. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. So like the fact that they have a delay on their side, seeing that our special permit hearing is supposed to be next week. And the thing is that, we have a call set up on Monday, which they should have some more information for us. But the perspective that I have on it is that business is always going to outpace regulation. Like always, man. Like regulation changes because of business. It's not the opposite way around. So people tend to think that like, oh, cannabis is a new industry. Like, no, dude, this shit, people have been booming with this shit for like 80 years. Sorry, man.
No, you can curse. No,
you
can curse as much as you want. That's fine with me. It doesn't.
I appreciate it.
So, but I do agree with that because most people understand that this trails back to Indian times, to the part where I don't know if you ever heard of Reefer Madness.
Yeah, of course, bro.
In the 30s, like when they brought that up,
yeah, of course.
Like that. If you guys are really showing the history of cannabis, you guys have been either hating it this entire time,
right? And
then nowhere the last 10 years flipped and switched and saw like one white man got money out of this.
Right.
We should definitely look at this industry.
Absolutely.
Because we've been fighting for this since the 20s, 30s. When cigarettes and alcohol was illegal.
Absolutely.
And then now decided to make that an actual legal thing bought in stores. It's like, those are cancer. There's no such cancer or poison.
Yeah.
Alcohol is definitely poison.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can drink it if you want to, that's your opinion. But it's poison, so you go back and cannabis is the thing that helps people. I've seen videos of people who got shades smoke a joint. In mid-video, you got shades right in the middle.
Absolutely.
Smoke in mid-video, and you talk. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And this is actual evidence. And you see evidence after cigarettes and alcohol, you drink way more.
Right.
That never made sense in my head.
Well, it's the misinformation that we were talking about before, man. I think on the side of the regulators, you can't forget about those times in the 1930s because right now it's more, I don't want to say siloed, but like it's broken down in like a more local level. Because what you were just talking about, Reefer Madness, that was at the government, like federal level.
Yeah.
Now we look at the state, like, oh, we want cannabis, but now we break it down to the local level. And like those mind frames still exist. You know, so it's crazy.
I think it's why in DC is different. Everybody else from DC, I just moved up here, so it's a totally different world for me. So when we were on the way here, we saw so many different billboards.
Absolutely.
Just for cannabis.
Absolutely.
People don't even advertise that they smoke. Well, they do advertise like on Snapchat and Twitter and stuff. But like when you walk past the dispensary, people like walk away, get away from the dispensary, so people won't know exactly where it's at. Or they're around the corner from it's like, this was that it's totally different than these type of establishments that are up here. Because they really give you they show you everything, and I know that you want to have customer service now for us.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so we're talking about licenses. When you first started, when you went to the city and everything, what credentials or paperwork did you need to have?
That's a great
Because
question.
most people, they just think they can go up there and say, I own this spot and I just want to grow cannabis. Like, grow cannabis or start selling cannabis.
Absolutely, bro. So it started kind of what I mentioned before, me actually living there. Because now I'm approaching them as a business person, a resident, a constituent. Like I've been paying my taxes here, you know what I'm saying? My kids go to school here. My wife's a school teacher in the city, you know what I mean? So I think taking that approach of a local guy definitely helped from a regulatory and a business aspect. The city of Worcester, they did have an RFI that we had to respond to. So basically that RFI, request for information, is all these documents that they ask for about who we are as people, and then what business, what benefit we would bring as a business to the neighborhood or working with the city. So I think being able to hit it on those two fronts was really a benefit for us to move forward. Just, you know, having our paperwork in order, but then also like being local, like intentionally, literally showing up at City Hall before it even opened. You know what I'm saying? Yo, basically, like, yo, what's good?
I'm your neighbor.
Right. Yo, and that's how it was, bro. Like, I would just pop up on like people and be like, listen, like, what's good? You know? So I think, like I said, being very local and intentional. You know?
I think grain talks both ways, money wise and cannabis wise. Like they can say like the way you bring is like if you really want to know. I looked up like what the booming profit of cannabis is supposed to be. It's supposed to be billions.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. Like high billions.
Yeah, that's just Massachusetts.
That's Massachusetts, right?
Massachusetts is gonna reach a billion, bro. Easy.
So if you can see that, like I'm trying to help you, my community get this.
Absolutely.
You gotta think about where I'm at, people in the area. If I'm bringing more money here,
Right.
I can help build. We just pretty much help build like everybody.
Right.
Like we were saying earlier, like I like to call everybody a tribe.
Absolutely, bro.
So this is your tribe. This area is your tribe.
100%, bro.
Like you're here, you live down the street. If I put my money into my tribe is gonna eat.
Absolutely, bro.
It doesn't matter what they do over there. That's my tribe. They need money just as much as I need money. Now our whole tribe is uplifted into it.
Bro.
To being Black Panther will Compton.
Absolutely, bro.
Of Worcester.
Dude, because you know, man, I mean, a lot of the companies that are even in the state, but let alone Worcester, like multi-state operators, a lot of Canadian money. So what happens? They take those profits, they go back, you know, to the shareholders, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So
I remember when I saw when the U.S. put money into Canada's
right.
cannabis. I just looked at it. I was like, I really did that. I was like, we got 2 states, 3 actually, over the west coast that are adult regulated there.
Right.
They need money. Like
Right.
they at the back end. Like California, they dipped off a little bit
Right.
because money wasn't going the way they wanted to. If you would have put that in there, that state, everybody would have followed suit. Like this,
Right.
this would have been a way faster track than what it is right now. It's going there, it's getting there, but very slowly.
Right.
But they would put actual money into the actual place that we live.
Absolutely.
This would be a totally different conversation.
No, absolutely, bro. Absolutely, man. So yeah, it's important to be local, bro. You know.
And what's going with that? What are the pros and cons of going starting one of these fields?
Oh, man.
Because I know there are probably pros, but I know that the cons are pretty equal. as well.
Man, the fact that the cons, I'm broke right now, bro. Got $1 million business when I'm broke. Like I maxed out my credit cards, bro. You know, I was moonlighting for a while. I told you I was working in my sales management job. So I was getting paid good, but I was basically taking all my commission check, putting towards this business, bro, up until we got our first investor. So I would say that's definitely the con is like, and I can't even call it a con. It's just very stressful, bro. I mean, personally, you know, and even on a business level. But the pros, I've met a lot of amazing people, and I think it's gonna continue to go that route. So even though there are some like really shady people in the industry, on the other side of that, some really great people as well. So,
I do agree with you with that, because you said you worked together. My mother was my so this is all started in her actual house with her. It's going on with what we're going to do about second family. And this is really the first thing we thought about. It was like marijuana. It's a thing that it actually does. Like when people see it, they think like, oh, you just trying to take off the Black Lives Matter. Like, yeah, we are, because Black Lives Matter is talking about Black men, Black women, Black kids, and showing that they actually matter in this world.
Right.
And it's stemming off of that is the majority of the time they're getting arrested, majority of the time they're getting shot at, it's because they're just being Black.
Right.
Right. The drugs. Drugs. And the car, it's not enough to put you in jail longer than probably
Right.
I'm going home. I have stories to tell people like, this haven't happened to me. This is like one of my close friends. He's white. He's actually mixed, but he looks more white. This is how I know like he's Virginia. She is the strictest laws. One offense is one offense. Like they'll felony, at least to me, the second time you're going to prison, like you're going to a federal one, you're going for 5 years. The first one is a year. $1,000 or $5,000. He got one sabotage. He got pulled over and had cannabis, bowls, bombs all in his truck.
Mm-hmm.
He stood there, he told me that for 20, 30 minutes, he saw all this, he smelled it. The dude said, I want you to break all this right now. Throw away this weed.
Get out of here.
And then said, promise me never He said that. And came home that night.
Yeah.
And I thought in my head, it's like, bowls, bombs, actual cannabis in the car.
Right.
And you're not, you're just cold. Break all this shit.
How much weed do you have?
Like,
yeah, that's crazy, bro.
And I was sitting there like, bro, you don't understand how great he was like, no, you just had the car with the cops. And I was like, no.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
They supposed to uphold the law. He broke the law. And then he's in Maryland, right? This is when dabs was legal. You don't put dabs in your near you. You're going to jail straight. Everybody knows this story. Everybody knows this. You get arrested on Friday, you get out Monday or like Tuesday.
Right.
Whatever what day they really want to get you out.
Right.
He went that Friday. He was smoking that walk driving.
Yeah.
Cop pulled up on him. Like, there was people in the car. Cop pulled up on him.
That's crazy.
And then it's like, whoop, and pull over. It was Montgomery County. I was like, oh, this is a little hard. You're going to be there for a minute. I was like, well, you might be there. Wow, I just realized that my brother is in jail. I was thinking about Fremont, Burbank B, when we go to the bond, all that. This man came home Saturday night, and I looked. I'm like, how are you here? Because I came home to work with him there. And I'm like, how are you here? He said, I just kept walking around, hitting my hand, acting crazy. And my grandfather came up and demanded that I get out. And I was like,
that's insane, bro.
how does that even happen? But I'm saying all this because I have one more last question that I need to ask you. Why does marijuana matter to you? In your life, personally, professionally, just in general, why does it matter?
That's a great question, man. And I think the biggest thing is that it brings people together. I distinctly remember having a conversation with my old man when I was 17. My parents used to find weed in the crib all the time. And I think the biggest thing that they were scared about was that, we know the classification is Schedule 1, so it's next to heroin and cocaine. So they didn't want that coming to the house. I distinctly remember sitting with my dad and saying, listen, I'm not going to start selling dope. Okay, this is weed.
What's one thing or couple things you wish you knew before you actually came into the cannabis industry?
Probably how long it was going to take. Yeah. But I don't fault it or look back and be like, man, I wish it was quicker, because that's part of the joy is actually the process. Mm-hmm. Like if you can just wish on this dispensary or cultivation or manufacturing and it just appeared, you wouldn't appreciate it. So now I certainly appreciate that it's taken basically 4 years to get to this point, but I didn't know it was going to take 4 years.
Yeah, I honestly think the process is better because you learn stuff at the same time.
Absolutely, bro.
Because there's so much construction going around here.
Bro.
You can do this. How do you do this? Since you own the place, you can literally sit there and learn. And it's like, next time I get that, I actually help you.
Right.
So this was not the right place. You can put this. You think it should be here.
Right.
They pretty much give you insight of pretty much building a better. This is your first baby, right?
Yeah, bro.
And you're thinking about, I don't want to put that out there.
Not another spot.
Yeah.
So we actually got a license in Attleboro, bro, but we're not active with it yet.
But that's the thing. Once this gets up and running,
right.
You get a couple months into it, and you're up and running. So I have totally different ideas, and I already have
basically, bro.
And I don't think most people understand that. It's the process, pretty much. It's a process, a very hard process, but you get stronger throughout the process.
Basically, bro. That's exactly it, man. Honestly. So.
All right. You heard it first from here. As you guys can see, we went through UJ's Major Bloom. We had a conversation, a great interview, lots of laughs, lots of information. It was great meeting up with you, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Always home for you here. Come through.
You know me. I already talked about me coming back here. You know, it's a couple of days. When it finally opens up, I'm gonna come through here and get another interview, another tour, just to see everything that happened. So, like I said, I don't have it on today, but check out our merch. We have a couple of new shirts. We have a swag store. Check in the link in the bio of Marijuana Matters DC. Check out our organization, our website, marijuanamatters.org. Donate, talk to us, and check out Major Bloom because they have Instagram too. You want to plug yourself in as well?
The Major Bloom on IG. On most platforms, actually. The Major Bloom. That's our website as well.
All right. Peace out, chat.
Let's get it.